How many people in your life can you say truly know you? Past the smile you have to put on for the acquaintances you occasionally pass by, through the surface level how are yous and good thanks that are necessary to prove to people that you're human, or beyond your uniform that blends you in with the rest of the population. Many of us go our entire lives without letting most people, if any, find out who we truly are, and you might be one of those people who desires to remain as mysterious as possible. But past the usual excuse of, I'm an introvert and I don't like talking to people, if you are someone who tries to hide as much of themselves as they can, the actual reason why you feel this way might be much deeper than you think. Vacations with my family as a kid used to be the bane of my existence. Not only was I forced to be in close proximity with the people who made me clean my room and take away my Xbox power cord, but it was almost a guarantee that they would try to get me to talk to any strangers they would be cordial with. Hey Cole, come say hi to Paul, we just met him. Hi there, the person would say, and with a measly response and a fake smile, I would say, hi. When they would ask me what I was interested in, which at the time mostly revolved around anime and video games, I would say, I like watching sports. And I did actually like watching a couple sports, but this was really just an attempt to find some common ground and avoid the possibility of being judged or confusing the other person. After all, what would happen if I told that guy the truth? Would he say, oh, that's nice, give me a side eye that indicated I was a complete weirdo, then slowly and subtly back away from me? Or would he try to act like he cared when deep down I knew he really didn't give a shit? If I was to expose myself to a part of this man, pause, I would run the risk of someone being able to capitalize on a vulnerable state. A state that is a true expression of who I am, and I had already known what that had meant for me based on past experiences. There was a certain formula that, through enough repeated inputs, ingrained itself into my brain. If I open up and express what I really like, I will be judged and labeled an outcast. But if I stay quiet and agreeable, then I will be able to control other people's perception of me. And the worst part about all this is that I have in fact always been a quiet person. I still feel like I'm more quiet than most people till this day, and there's nothing inherently wrong with being quiet. But the real reason why this wasn't beneficial to the development of myself in the past was because I used my quietness as an excuse to be mysterious. So how does the desire to be quiet differ from the desire to be mysterious? Well, we can think of the two in terms of fruits. It's a weird example, but it will work, trust me. Being quiet is like being a banana. Its exterior is not too different from its interior, and its inside looks exactly how you think it would from the outside. A banana is also nothing but a banana, and it isn't striving to be anything it's not. In the same way, a person who is only quiet isn't trying to hide anything based on their external appearance. It's not like they're afraid of people peeling the surface off of them and revealing something that the other person would be stunned and maybe even a little turned off by it being there. And when appropriate, they're not afraid to talk in depth about what really gets them going or gives them the ick when they feel the urge to talk and express these things. The only reason they're labeled as quiet is simply because their urge to exert themselves in that way happens a bit less than most people. On the contrary, being mysterious is like being a jackfruit. Its exterior, though similar to many fruits, is deceptive. Hiding beneath the prickly green skin are loads of small yellow pods with a chewy texture that can be easily broken apart. In a similar way, the mysterious person also tries to hide their true tangible form. They form a barrier of prickles on the outside to prevent anyone who dares try to see what happens when they are broken open. They are appalled with what their truth reveals because they're under the impression that others would be appalled with the truth as well. After all, people's reaction to their true selves hurt them when they were a child, so it's likely that trend would continue. And if everyone thinks they're a green, regular-looking fruit like they appear to be, and nobody knows anything about them, then it's impossible to be criticized. The only thing that will ever potentially get criticized is the persona that they've created to hide their true self, and that criticism won't matter. So this was the persona I adopted. Mr. Mysterious with the same type of interests, hobbies, and opinions as whoever else was in the room. That is, if I was forced to have to express those types of things in the first place. The funny part was, I remember during this time, I was intentionally trying to be someone who I was not, and then I wondered why I felt so misunderstood all the time. This was only further exacerbated by the types of media I would consume, which are now even more prevalent today. A common red pill dating tip is to remain as mysterious as possible when you are starting to date a woman or appeal to the opposite sex. They tell you to respond unenthusiastically with short, effective sentences that makes the woman wonder what you're hiding. Because if you don't reveal most things about yourself and you give the other person that room to wonder, they're naturally going to want to find out more and creep ever closer into your life. Now, here's the thing. Maybe you shouldn't initially leave it out all on the table for some people you're trying to form relationships with, or reveal all your secrets and vulnerabilities. But giving off this uninterested attitude paired with a complete lack of opening up about your true self is only going to leave you completely deficient of any real solid connections in the long run. What do you think is going to happen with the person or people you try to be intimate with when you have a disagreement or argument and you're too afraid of expressing your real feelings and vulnerabilities? I can tell you from my experience that a resolution that is suitable for both parties will never be found, and you'll continue to be mad at the fact that you feel so misunderstood if you aren't willing to open up about the root cause of your issues. It is true in most cases that the energy we give off is the energy we receive, so if you lack the ability to reveal that depth of yourself, those are the types of people and relationships you're naturally going to attract more. No genuine person, whether that be a girl you're attracted to or friend you want to make, will be repelled by you sharing things that fire you up when you start to talk about them, even if they're a little unusual or weird, or misfortunes and failures that you've battled with. In fact, that's really the thing that's attractive to most people, someone who unapologetically dives into their passions and interests, even if they aren't what most people would consider to be cool. Luckily, I managed to stumble upon this realization almost accidentally. When I started uploading to this YouTube channel, I got criticism from many people whom I considered to have genuine connections with. But what I soon found out was that those connections were built upon the persona I had created in order to protect myself. And so when I started to really develop these passions and interests I had hidden from the world long ago that I thought I should reject, those people were confused. That persona's mask started to slowly break, and in the process, I found it harder and harder to connect with the people who were, in reality, attached to the person they thought I was. This is what I like to call the shattering phase. It's the phase in which you rediscover who you have always been beneath the surface, or the vulnerable parts of yourself that you were once afraid of. During this phase, your sense of self is not only going to shatter, but some of your relationships might shatter as well. And what will be left once this period is over is some confusion and a little less certainty and connections than you may have had before. But this is all necessary for what comes next. As I continued making videos for this YouTube channel, still grappling with the fact that there was a self deep down that I had been denying, I eventually just decided to lean fully into it and use this channel as more of a personal journal rather than as someone that strictly just gives tips and advice. I really started to open up about shit that I wouldn't even dare tell my friends. And yes, I still think you guys know a lot more about me than a lot of my friends do. And that was when something incredible started to happen. I got loads of DMs and messages from other people who had struggled with anxiety, depression, breakups, and addiction, thanking me for making it clear to them that they're not alone and that they can get through it. From this point on, the channel started to grow exponentially, and other creators, people whom I could genuinely connect with on a deeper level, started reaching out, asking me if I wanted to be on their podcast or connect in real life. And even though we didn't know much about each other when we had first met, the interactions I had with all those people, the people who are attracted to who I actually am, felt so much less forced and natural. Because genuineness attracts genuine people. Always. Soon after this growth and this realization that accepting who I was would ensure all of life made much more sense, then even those who I had trouble connecting with in the past became easier to fortify a relationship with. Right now, as I'm recording this video, I'm currently in Italy visiting cousins on my mom's side with my parents as well as my sister. And if I was still that mysterious persona I had created back when I was a kid, I already know how this trip would go. Occasional fights with my parents and sister, my cousins trying to ask me questions about my life and me responding with half-assed answers, and a more than necessary amount of time trying to avoid everyone by locking myself in my room. But now that I've done the work to be more self-aware and not be afraid to show sides of myself that might turn some people off, this trip has been incredible. My two cousins are around my age, and the one that's a guy, Giorgio, talked to me about his job as an Italian translator for English video games and how he built his own arcade console from scratch. The last time I had seen him is when he came to visit us in Buffalo when I was around 13, and I can't remember a single positive interaction we had from that trip. But now, the conversations at the dinner table surrounded by my close relatives that were once a cause for aversion have turned into a meaningful story I can look back on with fondness. So how can you get closer to reaching this point? How does one start to break this mask little by little until their true form is revealed? Well, in order to do so, we first must tackle this on our own. Lying within you are traits, passions, and interests that you are either not consciously aware of yet, or that you don't want to become aware of at the fear of ensuing chaos. And by chaos, I really mean the possibility of being disliked. But awareness is the first step towards acceptance. Spend some time every day moving forward to journal about one thing that shifted your emotional state, whether it was for better or for worse. For example, maybe someone commented a nice message about your shirt today, or you saw someone else doing their interest or hobby without fear of judgment. What was your immediate emotional response? What thoughts came to mind, and where did you experience those emotions in your body? By answering these questions, you'll get a deeper insight into what naturally makes you feel good or what you're most attracted to. As an opposite example, let's say someone criticizes a topic that you secretly enjoy or even criticizes you directly and that triggers you. Write about that experience as well. By answering these similar questions, we are trying to notice the patterns of our behaviors that are subconsciously governing our day-to-day life. And if you do this for long enough, the patterns will have so much awareness surrounding them that each time you see them, you can say, I know why this is here, and I know what's associated with this. So now I can accept this. Each time one of these things that produce a visceral emotional reaction, whether positive or negative, come to the surface, honor them completely. Even if it's something you want to change or get better at, you first must accept who you are right now. Otherwise, any progress will be swiftly halted by the mask that is trying to keep you from shedding light onto what really fuels you. And that fear of being revealed will start to set in once again. The more that you do this, the more that you are relinquishing your desire to control your own narrative, which is really why you want to stay mysterious in the first place. But the price you will pay for staying silent will be a lack of real deep connections and a constant feeling of being misunderstood. Different people, based on their current worldview or level of maturity, are going to perceive you differently. Which means that no matter what, once you start stepping into who you actually are, and you are vulnerable while remaining strong, people will dislike you. Saying, this is who I am, and expressing that to the world freely is the scariest thing you can do. Having the courage to be disliked is a path that most people will never take. But this is what makes it the most important thing you can do. I know a lot of you guys right now are stuck in this cycle of self-sabotage where you watch a bunch of YouTube videos on self-improvement and read a bunch of books and you get super motivated and you're like, all right, this is the day that everything changes. You apply the things that you were taught in the videos, but then you somehow just go back to who you always were. A year ago, I wanted to create that resource that finally ends the cycle for you and combines all the knowledge that I've gained over these past 6 years, and that is why I created the Self-Mastery course. This is a 14 video course with 15 plus worksheets, plus a guided meditation and an exclusive community. And unlike YouTube videos like this one, which are usually optimized for the social media algorithm, in this course, I go into detail about your specific problems, which is usually what YouTube videos can't do. And you're going to be applying what you learn directly after you learn it, which is something you can't do with YouTube videos either. That is why I created the worksheets. But the most fun part about the course and the most life-changing aspect, I think, has been the exclusive community. Every other weekend, we're meeting in a group video call where we're just keeping each other motivated, we're keeping each other accountable, and we're giving each other advice. And honestly, that has been the most fun to grow alongside with the subscribers that I have and the followers that I have like you guys. So moving forward, you got two options. The first one is to keep trying to apply stuff from self-improvement YouTube videos and hope that your life life changes without a community that is holding you accountable, or you can join the course. You can guarantee that you're gonna see a positive impact in your life, and you get access to calls with me and the people in the community, and you finally have that group of people, which is very hard to find in real life, that are all just trying to inspire each other and lift each other up and grow together. If you are interested in the Ultimate Self-Mastery course, and because you watched this video until the end, I'm gonna give you guys an exclusive discount only for the people watching this video. If you go to the first link in my description, which is cole-hastings.com/selfmastery, and you can use the discount code CHANGE at checkout, which will give you 10% off the course. Now is the time. Now is the time to see positive change last for the rest of your life. So first link in the description, check it out if you're interested. Thank you very much to all my patrons on Patreon. If you don't know what this is, it's where you can talk to me one-on-one over the phone. Also have exclusive content on there, link in the description to check that out. I have other videos on smashing your insecurities, but this one is one of my favorites due to the way that I describe it and explain it. So check that out right here. And I am signing off now. Love you guys. Peace.